story is the most powerful medium that has ever been and ever will be. And this week I set out to make a fairly sterile video featuring some of E3D's ObXidian high-flow hotends for the Bambu Lab H-Series and A-Series 3D printers. I was shocked at how that story naturally evolved and the different storylines that were in it. And despite the fact that I am always all about story, I was just surprised at how much there really was here. In case you're new, my name's Patrick with Patty Melts, and I like to do videos about new things, things I don't know, things that are hard, and things that I just think are rad. And as my evolution continues to grow, and you're all here with that journey alongside of me, the next step is kind of digging more into the settings, digging more into the things that you can add or augment on your printer, such as different hotends. And this was a completely new experience and kind of, a little scary for me, but I was quite surprised at all that I learned. And I learned a lot, and that's what it really comes down to for me. So we're going to start at the end and then bring ourselves back to the beginning. So what you see here is what my project objective is in order to have really easy live streams on YouTube and maybe Twitch, I wanted to have a simple high quality camera here that connected to, a computer that wasn't going to be in the way, because I have limited space here on my electronics bench. And so I went through a process with Jim at Lunar Prototypes. I had reached out to him, asked if he had wanted to work together on this project, and that's what we did. So let's get into the evolution of the prototypes and how we got to this, amazing end. Because you'll see, there's quite a bit of design going here. Also, a quick disclosure, because this is my first sponsored video. E3D didn't ask to be a sponsor of this video. They were really kind of chill about however I wanted to go about it, but I do want to respect and honor that they sent me 4 ObXidian high-flow hotends. They didn't ask about the video. They haven't seen the video. They didn't give me any money. They just sent me a 0.04 and 0.06 ObXidian hotend for both the H-Series and the A-Series, and I gave them a whirl. So any opinions that come here are mine and mine only. E3D has done a phenomenal job. So if you look at the series of printer, they have it both for the H series and the A, and then they further break it down by material type and nozzle type. So all you have to do is open up the sliced model with those settings, right? The correct series of printer, the correct material, and the correct nozzle size. Then go ahead and add a second bed. And then you can just drag in the geometry, import your model, whatever you want to do there. But you're going to see me struggle with this because I don't know if it's a Bambu Studio thing, if it's my laptop, or if it's this guy. My money's on this guy. He likes to make a lot of mistakes, but it really makes it so much easier to not have to worry about whether you've done it correctly. You know that all of the slicers for that material and that hot end are dialed in by them. It was such a tight fit, but, it was a great experience of learning how, hey, how's this going to print? This is something I was really bad at in the beginning when I first started 3D printing. I would just click print. One of the most useful things I feel for me and maybe other people that are new is come in here into the slicing result and under summary and scroll the layers. See how this is going to show you layer by layer how it's going to print. Because I was freaking out at first that, this was printing there. That's supposed to be a hollow cavity. But because I came in here, I saw, it's just laying down essentially a support. And then it continues to be hollow and then continues on the process. And there we have, the PET G coming in and right there. And it's so helpful to do. Know what the layers are and how those are going to interact with what you're trying to accomplish. And this was part of the learning process, right? It's so different when you're dragging in a file that's not made, wrong turn there. That's not made in, Maker World, right? Let's just undo all of that. And I found it real. Oh, we did it again. Uh, wow. So here's the one I want to do. Here's the right axis. So it was just interesting. I had to separate out, these. I had to pull these out of the model, and then put them on their sides. And Jim caught that I had them in the wrong orientation once. And then I had to very precariously position this, so that I was wanting to do this on the H2D, because I wanted to be able to have the PET G in it, and it was very, very precarious. But I learned, where did it go? I learned how to, do some complicated things, how to split objects, how to assign, different settings, how to put the high flow, in there, right? And it just was truly, it was, stressful at moments, but it truly was a great learning experience. So I really thought that the holder for this computer on my Scatus board was going to be a great project to use for these high flow hot ends. It looks like it was going to be a particularly long print, a particularly large print, and so I thought it would showcase really well what these E3D ObXidian hot ends could do on an H series printer. So the first time I sliced this project, I got it way wrong. I had not applied the correct settings. I just missed a step, and so it actually printed longer than this. It printed closer to 13 hours and had to go overnight. I'm glad that it failed, because I went back in, took more time, was a little more patient, and was able to fix a couple things that cut that time down by about 66%, so just a third of the time. And this is the reason why I chose the H2D for this project. I really like to use the opposite material in the left nozzle. So if I'm printing in PETG, I'll use PLA in the left nozzle. If I'm printing in PLA, I'll use PETG in the left nozzle. And I'll do that for just the support interface. And it just makes steep overhangs, particularly large flat ones, so much easier when it comes time for post-processing. And it's incredibly smooth. Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit. Look at that little thing just roll there. Just scraping up that PETG, just trying to ruin my life. I cannot believe this was actually a successful print. It's scraping off all of the support layer interface, and it's like rolling it into a really, really long burrito here. This is wild. And it just continues rolling it. Is this thing like a sandwich artist at Subway? Like, I'm not sure what it's going for. Is it making the party sub in The Simpsons? I just can't believe, like, I rescued this off of the bed when I checked on it later on in the night, and I couldn't believe that this continued. I couldn't believe it hadn't knocked it, caused an error. It just kept right going. Bambu Lab printers are extremely resilient, and you'll see it just continues to scrape it. And it made the most bizarre looking thing, like the staff of Gandalf the White here. I cannot believe, and you'll see, here it goes. It's about to kick it over. Just one of the weirdest things, probably the weirdest thing I've ever had happen in a print. It's gonna drag it over here any second. Here it goes back to the top. Boom, clip. Just like a cash register. So weird. And then I really wanted to see what the A series could do with it. And I was kind of, at a loss with really what would be a great project. And so I thought, let's go for the opposite, right? Let's see how it performs in a not long print, not large print scenario, just kind of like, a decent sized print that's, a couple hours. Let's see if the time difference is really that large or not. And spoiler alert, it super isn't, right? The only thing that I noticed was that the hot end, rather the tool head on the A1 with the high flow 0.4 Hotend was just really booking it. It was going really fast. And here we have the A1 with the regular standard 0.4 Hotend, and it's just going much slower. So all I really noticed, I did notice a speed difference, but it didn't play out in the print. It just didn't. And that was so interesting to me. I gave the high flow Hotend from E3D about a 10-minute head start just because I was, slicing the other one. And there was really only about a 2-minute time difference between the two. And so I can't really say that it's going to make a huge difference. And this just might be inexperience too. I need to print a lot more things and give it, a lot more, tests. But I really do think that it's good to run a more high quality premium Hotend because it's hardened. So it's going to, I would hope, clog less, and I certainly think it'll stand up better against more abrasive materials. But I'm not going to be printing those on an open air bed slinger like this. So here are the incredible Hotends that I ended up not using in this project because E3D was kind enough to send me 4. I had the 0.4 and the 0.6 for the H series, and then the same, the 0.4 and 0.6 for the A series. And so we didn't use these, but I also just want to say they are works of art. This shiny purple, the, hardened, and I mean, they're just gorgeous. I love having them over here where I, display and have my other Hotends. They look so good over there. But yeah, these are pretty rad. And this isn't the end of me using these or experimenting with these. I can't wait to see what more I can do with them. So here was the first prototype, and Jim and I were like, hey, we can, drill it into the wall and it'll slot in. The Microsoft Surface will slot in here. And then I noticed that it was originally going to go into the wall back here. And I noticed that, hey, that's not going to fit. The Scatus up there, the lip, was going to make it impossible to pull it out. And so this first prototype got scrapped. I think I can repurpose it for another screen, so I'm going to hang on to it because it's such a sturdy build. So that led us to version 2. And version 2, Jim came up with these really clever clips here that pop in and allow you to, without, glue, without fixing it in there, you got to wiggle it a little bit. You got to wiggle it just a little bit. I don't know how much song you can sing without getting popped. That's an obscure 90s song. But look at that, prints like this so it doesn't, come out like a little like French cleat. Is that kind of what this is? And then it goes in here and then you slide it over. I think that's pretty stinking brilliant design, Jim. So really, really cool. And this was going to work. I was like, yeah, we're going to get it on the second time until wah, wah. So we have a hole here that allows us to get the USB ports in, but the power has nowhere to go. And that's just part of the prototyping process, right? You make a version and you're like, dang it, so stinking close. And this was the 12-hour print. I had not applied the slicer settings right and had done it completely wrong. So we have version 2 failed. But, a little tip that I want to point out while I'm here is if you're willing to spend the extra time or you have an H2D, using PETG as the support interface makes it so stinking easy to get really, really clean layers on there. Like, I don't know, it's probably not going to pick up on camera super well, but no bumps. No bumps. Super, super smooth in there. So yeah, if you set your support layer interface, not all supports, just the interface to PETG. This one had some issues, and even this one had even worse issues, but it still even came off. But look, that is smooth. Look at how smooth that is. Like, it's crazy. So that's a good tip for you as well. I want to thank you so much for sticking around this long. And if you did, I always like to know who's been here for the entire video. If you could just drop "taste the biscuit" in the comments, I'll know that you made it this far. I had so much fun making this video this week, and I cannot thank Jim from Lunar Prototypes enough. He was an absolute dream to work with, and really it just, gosh, it gets me so jacked up and excited when both parties are mutually benefiting from a process. He got to learn some stuff, he got to try some stuff out, I got to learn stuff. Like, everybody is winning. And he has a chaotic week, I have a chaotic week, and we made it work. But no matter how chaotic your week is this week, I hope that you find some time and carve out some time to do something creative, do something that gets you all jacked up, because you are so very worth the investment. Have a great week, everybody.